The April 25, 2024 Open Public Finance meeting of the Woodbridge Township Board of Education will please come to order. Roll call, Mr. Secretary.
Ms. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Delapetro.
Here.
Mr. Mohammed.
Here.
Ms. Perez.
Here.
Mr. Treebwasser.
Here.
Mr. Velez.
Here.
And Mr. Harris.
Here. Mr. Secretary, as required by the Sunshine Law, please read the notice of meetings.
Thank you, Mr. President. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted as follows. On January 25th, 2024, emailed to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Municipal Clerk's Office, posted in Ross Street School Number 11 and the Board of Education Administration Building, also published on the school district website.
Thank you, Mr. Wolferman. Ms. Bourdain, our Vice President's not here just yet, so I'll turn it over to Ms. Anderson for the closed session statement.
Thank you, Mr. President. In compliance with the Sunshine Law, the board must go into closed session in order to discuss subjects exempted from the public portion of our meeting. The discussions to be held in closed session will be regarding personnel matters, and the board will receive attorney-client advice. Any information regarding the closed session discussion will be released to the public when the reasons for discussing these matters in closed session no longer exist.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Treebwasser. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carried. The board retires to closed session. We'll be out as soon as we are completed. Thank you very much. Please rise for a salute to the flag and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do I have a motion to reconvene?
So motion.
Second. Right. I have a motion by Mr. Treebwasser, seconded by Mr. Delapetro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Roll call, Mr. Secretary.
Ms. Anderson.
Here.
Ms. Bourdain.
Here.
Mr. Delapetro.
Here.
Mr. Mohammed.
Here.
Ms. Perez.
Here.
Mr. Sedana.
Here.
Mr. Treebwasser.
Here.
Mr. Velez.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here. Will someone make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meetings?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections? I have a motion by Ms. Perez, seconded by Mr. Treebwasser. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Secretary, please state for the record any notices of bids received by the board.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following bids and proposals were received for the 2024-25 school year. On April 9th, 2024, IFB 25-01, asbestos abatement and microbial remediation. April 17th, 2024, RFP 25-01, environmental compliance, inspection, and consulting services.
Thank you, Mr. Wolferman. Dr. Massimino, please introduce our student representative from Woodbridge High School.
Thank you, Mr. President. Stephanie Beresford is currently a senior at Woodbridge High School. She's an extremely involved member of the school community. Throughout high school, Stephanie has been a member of the tennis team, El Dorado, BSU, Jazz Band, Rho Kappa, Quill and Scroll, and Tri-M Honor Society. Stephanie has also volunteered as a tennis coach and as a manager of the boys' tennis team. Stephanie has earned her seal of biliteracy in French and is an AP Scholar of Distinction. She has earned numerous awards, including the PSAT Commended Student Award, the Platinum Award in LeGrand Concours, and the National African American Recognition Award. Stephanie is currently ranked number 3 in her senior class. After high school, she plans on attending Northwestern University as a double major in cognitive science and creative writing. Thanks for joining us tonight.
I'll be reading the activity list for some of the schools in Woodbridge Township, starting with school number 1. Students participated in Read Across America Week. A Women's Leadership Day assembly was held on March 8th, and Woodbridge Middle School sidekicks came to visit grade 4 students. An assembly was held with NJ Transit, teaching students the importance and safety of the railroad system, along with NJ Court speaking on the laws and the importance of leading on the right path to avoid trouble. Our grade 5 students started the DARE program, and Quiver Farms delivered chickens and summer hatching. In School 4 and 5, 5th grade students attended the Holocaust Resource Center Student Leadership Conference. Students from the Colonia High School English Honor Society will read to classes as a part of Read Across America Month. Tender Smiles for Kids will be doing follow-up dental appointments, and grade 2 to 5 students participated in morning tutoring sessions. Grades 3 to 5 students participated in family writing. 5th grade students participated in DARE as well. Students attended choir, band, chess club, dance club, and SEL club throughout the month, and the track team is preparing for the elementary school track meet. At School 9, students and staff celebrated Read Across America Week as well. Students and staff raised money for the Kids Heart Challenge, and the track team is preparing for the elementary school track meet. Students in grades 1 through 5 attended after-school tutoring clubs. 5th grade students attended the Holocaust Resource Center Student Leadership Conference at Kean University. 5th grade students participated in DARE, and students volunteered their time to be part of our gardening club and work together to beautify our school. Woodbridge High School science research students conducted lessons for our 5th and 4th grade students. The 3rd grade collaborated with students and teachers from School 21 to participate in the Math Olympics. At School 11, students and staff participated in Read Across America Week. The counseling office scheduled visits from Darius the therapy dog to the classrooms, and the gardening club performed its annual spring cleanup. 5th grade students participated in DARE. Students in various grades attended choir, band, chess club, dance club, and SEL club throughout the month. The track team began preparing for the elementary school track meet, and the 5th graders participated in the Holocaust Resource Center Leadership Conference. The ASI and our ELA/STEM teams hosted another successful family night as the PTO held a tricky tray on March 8th. The counseling office conducted Rethink Ed lessons to grades 3 through 5. At School 19, students celebrated Read Across America Week. They also attended the JFK MHS play High School Musical. PBSIS hosted a family pizza bingo night. Title I Husky Hero Math Academy began this month after school for students in grades 3 through 5. Title I book clubs for grades 1 through 3 occurred during lunch, and DARE started in our school for 5th graders this month. 5th grader students attended the virtual assembly of the Holocaust Resource Center Student Leadership Conference. At School 25, students participated in Read Across America. Students in grade 5 attended the virtual assembly of the Holocaust Resource Center and Student Leadership Conference. Students in grade 5 also earned a reward during our March PBSIS drawing for their continued improvement in being respectful, responsible, and kind. Title I AM Extended Day to assist students in grades 3 through 5 in ELA and math. Title I book clubs for grades 2 through 5 during lunch. Title I math competition club for grades 4 and 5 during lunch. Title I family STEM nights for grades 2 and 3 were held in March. They celebrated World Down Syndrome Day by wearing crazy socks, and every Friday, students are recognized for their learning math facts on Reflex. Our PTO held a family bingo night on April 12th, and family writing nights were held for grades 2 and 3 in April, and family science nights were held for grades 4 and 5 in April. The National Elementary Honor Society held an outdoor school cleanup. At School 28, Bubble Day celebration was held. Classroom collaborations for Autism Acceptance Month were also held. Grade 5 students attended the virtual assembly of the Holocaust Resource Center Student Leadership Conference. The spring concert for 4th and 5th grade students was held on April 18th at WMS. Gardening Club is starting for 3rd grade students, and they opened 2 new outdoor learning spaces in our courtyards. Autism Acceptance Spirit Week from April 22nd to April 26th was also celebrated. The National Honor Society students from Woodbridge High School visited the students with autism, creating crafts and readings to the classes. At Avenel Middle School, over 50 families participated in Family STEM Night. 3 students read their poetry at the Evening with Young Poets event. 7th and 8th grade students were inducted into the National Junior Honor Society. 6th graders received their last visit from Colonia High School's Heroes and Cool Kids, and 15 students participated in pizza and poetry to celebrate National Poetry Month. Boys and girls cross country and boys and girls volleyball begins this week. Students and staff wore blue on April 12th to promote Autism Awareness Month. At Ford's Middle School, choir, chorale, and showstoppers are collaborating with dance to put on our spring concert on April 24th at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria. Special guests are coming together to add a rock band for our final number. Celebrated National Foreign Language Week in March with an International Food and Culture Fest. 7th grade honors classes in English will view an interactive presentation on Edgar Allan Poe, and a collaboration of science occurred to provide the 7th grade science classes with a vaping lab presentation. Woodbridge High School Heroes and Cool Kids did a collaborative workshop with their students on April 11th, and the spring athletic season is underway for volleyball and cross country. At Woodbridge High School, the spring musical Sweeney Todd was presented during the week of March 21st to the 24th. Congratulations to staff, parents, pit band, technical crew, and our amazingly talented company of actors. On April 17th, Woodbridge High School and Colonial Middle School hosted a day of allyship and expression with over 200 staff and student participants across all secondary schools. Abdurrahman Oladoja, president of the Woodbridge High School Black Student Union and Spanish Honor Society, attended a ceremony at Princeton University where he was presented with the 2024 Princeton Prize and Race Relations Certificate of Achievement.
Thank you, Stephanie, for your detailed report. You're welcome to stay this evening if you'd like. However, if you have homework or other duties to attend to, you're free to excuse yourself.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to recognize this evening, joining us, our newest VP at Woodbridge High School, Ms. Broadway. Thank you for being here. Dr. Massimino, please state for the record the superintendent's reports for the month of March 2024.
Mr. President, I present the student registers and files report, suspension reports for the elementary and secondary schools, the bomb threat reports, and reports of the attendance officers.
Thank you, Dr. Massimino. Dr. Massimino, please provide us with an overview of the tentative budget for 2024-2025 school year.
Absolutely, Mr. President. The budget presentation will focus generally on the four main items, as we always do: revenues, expenditures, our instructional programs and initiatives, and our facilities. This is a breakdown of our general revenues from our tax levy, our state aid, our surplus. You can see the jump in state aid, which does bring us up, Mr. President, to our full funding, correct?
Yes.
Finally, after many years, so great to see that, and we are beyond appreciative for it. These are some of our additional revenues, SREX, E-rate, and some of our grants, as well as our interest income. This is the analysis of the local tax impact. When you get to the bottom, you're going to see that it's in parentheses. That means it's a negative number, which I will explain when I'm done with the presentation. This is a breakdown, obviously, of our total budget. These are our expenditures by increase. As you can see, the biggest, as it usually is our total salaries and benefits. We have seen increase in transportation costs, as well as our private school tuition. We will continue to make improvements district-wide from a capital perspective. And then, of course, the increases in security and the custodial contract, just to name a few. Our initiatives. From an instructional perspective, we are looking to implement a new research-based K-2 and 3-5 math curriculum. Mr. Pastorino has been working with our supervisor and various committees as we assess some of the different options. We will continue the services provided by the High Impact Tutoring Grant. This was a joint effort. Again, Mr. Pastorino and Mr. Ali put this together. This was a grant we had applied for and received. We believe this is really important for students to continue to offer them as much extra support as possible. So we're budgeting to expand that scope so we can provide our students with the needed support throughout the school year when the High Impact Tutoring Grant expires. We're also looking to meet the needs of our multilingual learner within the district. We'll expand the ESL program to Avenel Middle and Fords Middle, and the bilingual program to Avenel Middle and Fords Middle as well. We will continue curriculum writing. For the first two items, there are new 2023 Math and Language Arts New Jersey student learning standards. So we will apply those new standards and incorporate them into our new and existing curriculum and courses for grades K to 12. And we will also provide additional training and supplemental resources to our literacy coaches and interventionists as we work to identify students in need and give them support in language acquisition and reading competency. From a student support, some of the highlights, we're going to seek to add some floating nurses at the elementary and secondary levels. The goal is a continuum of care. We have seen an increase in students that need certain medical services. Obviously, nurses are difficult to find, so we're looking to add these floating nurses to support our current nurses. Multiple students needing something does put a burden on them, and we want to make sure that the continuum of care continues. We will also be providing district-level student assemblies with regard to counseling programs. This is our first year with a counseling supervisor, so she has really done a good year this year of observing and monitoring the different programs within the schools, and she'll put together a more comprehensive program so that if a student goes from one school to another, they don't miss out on any of the programs that we are offering. And the last one is obviously our refreshments for our one-to-one student Chromebooks. Some of our school district projects, we will continue with roof replacements, our paving projects, HVAC upgrades, floor and ceiling repairs and replacements, and obviously classroom and office space renovations. Technology, also a big ticket item. We will work on the implementation of a cloud-based fax solution for all offices, network core switch upgrades, district VoIP phone system upgrades, which is big because that will give our classroom phones the ability to dial out and be conform with new legislation that has passed that must be met if you are putting new phone systems in. So we have been working with a vendor. This is coming out of the business administrator's office, so they've been diligent in working with this to make sure that we're compliant. And of course, network upgrades once we do the new construction at Avenel School 4 and 5. The final budget adoption will be May 2nd, right here at 6 o'clock. And as promised, I do want to go back just to talk about why this is a negative number. We are going to, we have put forth the 2% tax levy. That number comes out, and I will turn it over to Mr. Wolferman because as a CPN or business administrator, he says this far better than I can as a history teacher. The 2% gives us about $3.9 million. I hate to keep jumping, but I do want to point it out. The tax levy gives us about $3.9 million. The reason why it's a negative number is because we are going to pay $5 million of the debt service. So borrowing the 3.9 and change, and then paying the 5. So we will take $1 million out of the state aid we received to pay down that debt service, which will lead to the reduction of $13.20. Mr. Wolferman, I'm going to let you go into the specific details if there are any.
Yeah, all I can add is the bonds that we're referring to happened back in 2004. There were 30-year bonds. So this year, normally the taxpayers voted, and they were voted to pay for that, And this year, we've decided, the board has decided that they're going to have the district cover that cost, so it won't be on the taxpayer, and that's where that $5 million relief, which ends up being $13 savings or reduction in taxes for everybody, that's where that's coming from. But you pretty much covered it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Massimino, for your presentation, as always. Thank you. Will a copy of that be provided on the website beginning tomorrow?
It's already up.
All right, excellent. Very good. This is the open public budget meeting. We are required by law to have it. It's an opportunity for the administration to present the budget. It's been approved by the county superintendent's office, and now it's up to the board to ask any questions, make any comments. Any comments or questions from the board on the budget? Any questions? Okay. Well, I'll jump in here real quick. Budget's always been very much an interest of mine. One of the reasons I ran. I'm not an educator by profession, but planning and finance and things of that nature, I do spend some time on professionally. First, want to thank fellow board members for working with the administration, asking questions, making good comments, suggestions, and so on. And of course, Mr. Wolferman, to you and your team for not only crafting a responsible budget, but for taking the time to answer our questions. Every year it's a voluminous, multi-thousand-line budget, so we want to thank you for answering all those questions to us. I just want to make a couple statements, observations. Nothing of no questions. You can take the rest of the night off, Mr. Wolferman. But I just want to make a few observations. The Tap Into newspaper reached out to Dr. Massimino and I, and he had asked for some comments. And there were two things that I pointed out, that there's something historic about this budget. And that's one, for the first time in our district's history, dating back to at least 2008, when the school funding Reform Act was enacted and supported by the New Jersey Supreme Court, this is the first time we're getting our full allotment of state aid. The money for years is supposed to follow the students. And for many years, the formula, as many people know, it was manipulated, it was underfunded, and Governor Murphy and our legislature put it on a track over the past 7 years to sort of rebalance or recalibrate school funding statewide to ensure that money went to the students, that followed the students. Woodbridge, for years, and a great deal of credit goes to board members, community members, our faculty and staff, for years, went down to Trenton, testified, made a lot of noise about how we were the most grossly underfunded school district in the state of New Jersey, not as a percentage, but as a full dollar figure. When I started on the board here, we were getting about $23.6 million in state aid. Today, we're up to $27 million in state aid. And what does that mean for the average taxpayer? Well, for years, you all, in Woodbridge, all of us up here, we were carrying a larger share of the tax burden as residents wanting to do the right thing and support our schools, support our faculty and staff. So that transition to getting our fair share of state dollars, that's state income tax dollars we all pay, send to Trenton, and hopefully get back as school aid. That is finally here. 7 years later, we are getting our full complement of school aid. For years, we went without. Correct. We couldn't provide certain services. Perhaps in some good ways, it forced Mr. Wolferman and his team to be as efficient and innovative as humanly possible, because we were working with less, and now we're finally getting our fair share. It's a really big deal, really big deal. And as a result of that full funding, for the first time, at least to my recollection and my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, we are now funding at what the Department of Education calls adequacy. That's the number that the state of New Jersey pegs that every school district should be funding and spending on each student. So what that means is we are spending what we should be spending on every kid. And that's a big deal, because now all of our kids are basically being treated like every other kid in the state of New Jersey. So that's a big deal. I'm almost emotional about it. I don't know why. I'm a crier up here. I don't know what it is. But it is a big deal, because I can think of Dr. Crow, I can think of Dr. Zega, I can think of all their predecessor board members. John, you've been around the longest up here. People went down to Trenton, they testified, they made a lot of noise. And parents, I can think of the Cubs parents. There's a parent group that made a lot of noise about our kids deserve just as much school aid as any other kid in the state. And we're finally there. So, all right, I'll compose myself here. And really one of the things I've been barking about for some time, and we really just couldn't get there, was property tax relief. And Mr. Wolferman, I think, was tired of hearing from me, and you made it happen through an innovative way of paying down debt on one hand, and taking surplus and ensuring that people of Woodbridge Township, you're going to get a tax decrease, this year. That's $13 on the average household, correct, if I'm not correct. So, if you're a larger size house and you're paying a larger share in property taxes, $13, you're going to be getting more than a $13 break. That's a big deal, not a big deal. And finally, just some compliments on the budget that I'm very pleased with. Continuing a federal grant that's expiring the end of June. We're going to continue. There are some students who we've identified who perform below, state assessment, perform below average. It's not a knock on those students. But what we're going to do now with the high impact tutoring that Dr. Massimino alluded to, we're going to provide them some additional support. We do that during the school day, but now we're going to continue to do it outside the school day to help those kids on math and language arts and catch up on some of the things that they're not quite getting during the school day, and making sure that they're performing as best as they possibly can. So that's a really good thing. I said this to the newspaper reporter as well, that I'm pleased about the budget, that like every year we're constantly investing in updating the curriculum, making sure that our students are getting what I call a 21st century education, and we're preparing them for the workforce and higher education. You got to keep refreshing the curriculum. So thanks on that. And since no one else raised their hand, I'm just going to keep knocking down the highlights here. The budget, there's not a lot of new stuff, which is okay, but we're funding what we've been funding for years. We're making sure we have arts and sports as extracurriculars for our students. We've bulked up our security over the past couple of years. We have police officers and 28 security guards, protecting our students, faculty, and staff on a daily basis. And finally, we're not the sexiest stuff on the planet, but we're investing in our infrastructure. Listen, we've done a number of schools. We've done the roofs and the boilers and things of that nature. But our schools, the reality is most of them are over 50 years old. And for years, we frankly didn't have the money, as I've alluded to replace things like doors and maybe do some painting and do ceiling tiles and flooring. So those things are being addressed in this budget. So I'm very pleased with it. Don't have a single criticism of it, which is unusual for me, Mr. Wolferman, Dr. Massimino, but we'll take it. So I want to thank you for that. Board members, did I say anything you want to jump in on, Mr. Mohammed?
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Dr. Massimino, I just want to congratulate you and your team for really doing a great job with this budget, especially Mr. Wolferman. You moved mountains, or you moved numbers, debits and credits. And Dr. Massimino, if I were you, I would probably just keep slide number, 5, I think, up there, with that the negative number? The tax impact on there. And I just want us to digest that for a little bit, because based on what's happened in Trenton, and we're getting our full share, that I think a lot of that was attributable to this actual tax decrease of $13.20. And I think the challenge, Dr. Massimino and Mr. Wolferman, what happens next year? How are we going to top this next year? And I think we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So we have set a standard, right? And this is really quite an accomplishment. And I must say, in my first year on the board, this is something that I think, it's because it happened. It happened because of me. I was on here. I'm going to take that credit too. So I just wanted to share that. And thank you so much to you and your team, Dr. Massimino.
Mr. President?
Yes, Ms. Bourdain.
If I may, I just want to thank Brian for his quick responses. We did get together and talk over and had some questions, and Brian gave very thorough explanations to our questions. We're going to keep them coming, but Brian always seems to have good explanations, good answers, and takes our questions very seriously. So thank you, Brian, and thank you, Dr. Massimino, for a great budget. Good job.
Anybody else?
Mr. President?
Yes, Ms.
I
Sims.
want to just say that this is extraordinary work. So I want to give recognition to Mr. Wolferman and Dr. Massimino. This is extraordinary work. I just have to give you applause. Yes. Thank you so much.
So, Mr. President, if I may, the central office leadership team sits down with Mr. Wolferman, and he has the unenviable task of meeting with us individually and as a unit to discuss what we need for our own specific, and it's a team, right? It's a hybrid. Sometimes there's overlap, and there should be overlap. That's how you know there's redundancy, and that's how things are getting addressed and not falling through the cracks. The $13.20, all credit needs to go to Mr. Wolferman, because he is tasked with funding our vision, right? We are all educators. None of us are accountants. There's one accountant, there's one CPA, there's one BA. So we run through this. I give credit to my colleagues. Every one of them is very conscientious of the students' needs and how we go about meeting them. So thank you for the kind words. This is a true group effort. There's no I in this. But the genius behind this, I would be remiss to not specifically acknowledge Mr. Wolferman. I am not an accountant, so I can balance my checkbook and do the things that everybody else does, but when it comes to the next level thought in how we are responsible and efficient, I have to personally also thank not only my team for their diligence, but Mr. Wolferman for his commitment to really making sure everybody's interests, including the taxpayers, were represented. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Congratulations, Ms. Wolf. All right. I've got my long, anybody else before I move on? All right, I got my long normal spiel that I have to cover here. The Woodbridge Township Board of Education welcomes and encourages active, productive, and respectful participation by members of the public and seeks to protect the First Amendment rights of those wishing to engage in the exercise of free speech. Oh, I lost my, my spot. At this Board of Education meeting, I apologize. Members of the public are requested to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of those whose legal rights may be impacted. This portion of the meeting is now open to the questions and statements from the public regarding the budget. When you come to the microphone, please provide your name and the section of the township in which you reside. As per Regulation 1100D, comments must be limited to no more than 5 minutes. No response will be given until you have completed your opportunity to speak. No comments on the budget. I have one more small blurb to cover. The public is now invited to speak regarding the agendas being presented this evening. When you come to the microphone, please provide your name and the section of the township in which you reside, along with the specific agenda item you wish to discuss. As per Regulation 1100D, comments must be limited to no more than 5 minutes. No response will be given until you've completed your opportunity to speak. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item this evening? No, seeing none. Superintendent's agenda. Dr. Massimino, do you have any recommendations for us?
Mr. President, yes, I do. I have 35 items to present to the board this evening.
Do I have a motion for the superintendent's agenda?
So motion. Second.
Do I have a second? Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Treebwasser, seconded by Mr. Sedana. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson.
I'm going to abstain on item number 19 in the name of Marie Anderson, yes on all other items.
Ms. Bourdain.
I am going to abstain on item number 19 in the name of Susan Bourdain, yes on all others.
Mr. Della Pietro.
I'm also going to abstain on item 19 in the name of Frank Della Pietro, yes on all other items.
Mr. Mohammed.
Mr. President, I will abstain on item number 19 in the name of Nizam Mohammed and item number 35 in the name of Rutgers University. All others, I'm good.
Ms. Perez.
I also will be abstaining on item number 19 in the name of Jenny Perez, as well as item number 35 in the name of Rutgers, yes to all other items.
Mr. Sedana.
Same as everyone, abstaining on item number 19, and yes on all other items.
Mr. Treebwasser.
I will also be abstaining on item 19 in the name Jonathan Treebwasser, yes on all other items.
Mr. Velez.
I will abstain on item number 19 in the name of Joseph Velez, all yes on all other items.
And Mr. Harris.
I will be abstaining on item number 19 and voting yes, item number 19 in the name of Daniel Harris and voting yes on the other items. For the public's knowledge, all 9 of us abstain on item number 19. It's for professional development of the New Jersey School Boards Association puts on a conference every October where we all attend that. So just want to, so you all know. All right, communication, policy, and planning agenda. Mr. Mohammed.
Mr. President, the Communication, Policy, and Planning Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of School, presents the following 14 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Mohammed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Mohammed, seconded by Mr. Della Pietro. Any comments or questions from the board? Anybody? I just want
Are you going to point out the calendar?
Say again? Yes.
Okay.
Well, I was going to mention it. Did you want to?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, item number 14, the long-awaited and delayed. I will take blame or credit for the delay on the student calendar for next school year. We were investigating a number of different ideas, taking our time just to make sure we got it right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know many of the Facebook groups, the moms groups, we're all asking when the student calendar is out. It is now going to be voted out. Take a look at that. That'll be on the district website as soon as possible. So, thank you. Roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain.
Yes.
Mr. Della Pietro.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed.
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
Yes.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
Yes. Curriculum, extracurricular activities, and technology agenda. Mr. Sedana.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Curriculum, Extracurricular Activities, and Technology Committee, on the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, presents the following 14 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
I have a motion by Mr. Sedana. Do I have a second?
Second?
All right. I have a motion by Mr. Sedana, seconded by Ms. Bourdain. Any comments or questions from the board? Roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain?
Yes.
Mr. Delapietro?
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
Yes.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
Yes. Finance and Insurance agenda. Mr. Treebwasser.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance and Insurance Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary, presents the following 16 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
Thank you, Mr. Treebwasser. I have a motion by Mr. Treebwasser. Do I have a second?
Second.
Good. I have a motion by Mr. Treebwasser, seconded by Mr. Sedana. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain?
I will be abstaining on item number 1 in the name of Susan Bourdain, and yes on all others.
Mr. Delapietro?
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
Yes.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
Yes. The Safety and Security agenda. Mr. Velez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Safety and Security Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, present the following 5 items, and I recommend for the adoption of the foregoing.
Thank you, Mr. Velez. I have a motion by Mr. Velez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Velez, seconded by Mr. Sedana. Any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain?
Yes.
Mr. Delapietro?
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
Yes.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes. Buildings and Grounds agenda. Ms. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Buildings and Grounds Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary, presents the following 3 items. I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
Ms. Perez, just a heads up, it's just the one item, those numbers sort of throw you off. Just want to make sure everyone's,
Okay, I'll take that back.
not a sweat. That's just moving item number 1, motion by Ms. Perez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Ms. Perez, seconded by Mr. Treebwasser. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain?
Yes.
Mr. Delapietro?
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
Yes.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes. Dining and Transportation, Ms. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Dining and Transportation Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Business Administrator Board Secretary, presents the following. Let's make sure we got this right. The way that this is printed out, is it 9?
9.
Or we're doing,
Oh, yeah. Funky. Yeah, it's 9. That's
9?
what I have, yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna go with 9.
I move for the adoption of the foregoing.
I have a motion by Ms. Perez. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Perez, seconded by Mr. Sedana. Any comments or questions from the board? Roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain?
Yes.
Mr. Delapietro?
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
Yes.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes. Personnel agenda, Mr. Delapietro.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Personnel Committee, on recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, present the following 43 items. I will be abstaining in the name of Linda Delapietro on item number 35. Yes on all other items.
Thank you, Mr. Delapietro. I have a motion by Mr. Delapietro. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion by Mr. Delapietro, seconded by Ms. Perez. Any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Wolferman.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bourdain?
Yes.
Just to confirm, Mr. Della Pietro, you're abstaining in 35 in your own, in Linda Della Pietro's name, and yes on all others.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Sedana?
Yes.
Mr. Treebwasser?
I will be abstaining on item 3, yes on all other items.
Mr. Velez?
Yes.
And Mr. Harris?
I will be abstaining on number 3 and number 26, voting yes on the remaining agenda. All right. Mr. Bush, do you have any recommendations for us this evening?
I don't, but I would defer under legal to Mr. Wolferman on this.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. The Board of Education presents the following item. The one item is, be it resolved that after careful consideration of the report provided to the Woodbridge Township Board of Education on March 14, 2024, by Special Counsel Judge Daniel Issenman, retired, the board hereby accepts the report without modification and dismisses the grievance for the reasons set forth by Judge Issenman. The board secretary shall notify the complainant and each complainant, and each of the respondents of this action by the board. Be it further resolved that the board acknowledges receipt of correspondence dated March 29, 2024, sent by Judge Issenman's associate and the recommendation set forth therein, and directs that the recommended actions be referred to the Board Communication Policy and Planning Committee for review and recommendation to the board regarding any actions the committee may deem to be warranted. I send it back to Mr. Bush or Mr. Harris for a vote.
Yeah, at this point, Mr. President, I would just ask for a motion and a second, and all those in favor.
Motion. Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Bush. Is there any old business that should be brought before the attention of the board? Seeing none, any new business?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Okay, just a couple of things.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'd like to thank the Woodbridge Township Firefighters Local 290 that represents the career firefighters in Woodbridge Township. They provided the funding for the after the fire program. That's the Sean and Al come from talk about the Seton Hall fire. That was held at last Wednesday over at Woodbridge High School. I'd like to thank Principal Osborne for arranging the logistics for getting the other high schools to go to Woodbridge so that we can have all 3 high schools see that presentation. And I want to thank Mark Sinelli for providing the busing logistics, getting the kids there on a timely manner in that morning. And Dr. Massimino for your help for getting that program off the ground. The kids learned a lot. It was most of the morning, not a dry eye in the place. So it goes back to the Seton Hall fire back in 2000, where 3 students died in a dormitory fire. This is the last time that the fire department gets to see the kids before they graduate and go on to college. If you send your kid to college in New Jersey, all our dormitories are suppressed. They have sprinkler systems. Once they leave the state, we don't know if they're sprinklered. So it's a program just to make them aware of the dangers of fire when they're in their dormitories during their college career. So again, I'd like to thank everybody who made that happen. That's in the fire service. That's huge for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And you don't get enough credit for that relative to making sure that happened at Seton Hall University. It was probably people in New Jersey know more about it than any other state. And really thank you for what you've done over the past 20+ years.
Thank you.
And those individuals who were scarred by the fire, they deserve a lot of credit for making sure that kids don't forget. And you're spot on. Really, after elementary school, fire safety just isn't quite the same, right? So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. Any other members with new business?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Frank, I just want to echo President Harris's sentiments, and I heard a story today of a student who did not go here and goes to college out of state, and it could have turned into a situation like that, and there were no instructions. That they didn't know anything, and they're trying to turn this into a teachable moment. And I did bring up the Seton Hall fire and said, this needs to go nationwide, because it could have been very, very, very bad what happened, the story I heard today. So I appreciate that you make an effort to make sure our kids are educated, and when they go out of state, they bring that knowledge with them. So,
thank you.
Thank you. I also have a couple of shout outs, as Dan likes to say. last week, Jenny and myself were fortunate enough to go to Woodbridge High School for the Day of Expression. Over 200 kids and faculty were there, and I couldn't tear myself away. I really enjoyed being there. I was only planning on going for a little while, and I just found it so valuable, and I know that these days are going to continue, and the discussions are going to continue. So, Mr. Ali, and to you and your crew, I really appreciate all the time and effort that was put into it. It wasn't done in a minute. It was very well thought out, and I appreciated being there. I appreciated that it was random groups placed together, and they all found commonality, no matter what their background, no matter what their age, their gender. No, it didn't matter. It was a good group of kids, and I applaud the kids that were there and took it seriously. Today I was fortunate enough to go to the adaptive track meet, so Ms. Baer, I appreciate all that you and your crew did to put that together, and the vice principal over at JFK that facilitated, and the host JFK, they did a great job. The kids are just outstanding. The day was really fun. It started out a little chilly, but it turned out to be a really beautiful day. It was obviously one of my favorite things to attend as a board member. I'm very privileged to be able to go to that, so thank you, Ms. Baer. I also went to Bubbles for Autism Awareness Day at Matthew Jago School today, which again is one of my all-time favorites. I love getting to see all the kids. They're happy, they're all together, they're blowing bubbles for autism awareness. It being towards the end of the month, autism is year-round. It doesn't mean it's just in April. I just want to make sure that we all, look at each other with kindness. Autism or any other difference that we have, I really truly hope that we can be better by appreciating each other for who we are. Speaking of that, the POAC Walk is coming up on May 18th at Woodbridge High School from 11 to 2. You can go to poac.net to find out more about POAC as parents of autistic children, but they allow, since we're a partner district, any activities that they do, POAC is always welcoming to the Woodbridge students, the special education students to come and participate. They do a lot of fun days out for our kids, and they do a lot of seminars in district and outside of our district. It's poac.net, and you can find the Woodbridge Walk on their page there. If you'd like to donate, if you'd like to come down and participate, it's a pretty fun event from 11 to 2 on May 18th. President's Council meeting will meet on May 8th from 7 to 8 on Zoom. The email is email President's Council presidentscouncilwb@gmail.com to find out more information, or look on your school's website. There should be a flyer on there. And last but certainly not least, Nicole, you are amazing. Yesterday was Administrator's Day, and I think I can speak collectively of how much we appreciate you and how much you do, and how you take my crazy and you turn it into something that's maybe not so crazy. You don't make me feel it. I leave you some pretty, messages, and you're phenomenal, and we appreciate you. You had big shoes to fill with Peggy, and I know that you're definitely doing it. So I just wanted to publicly thank you, and I think I can speak on behalf of the board for that. So, Nicole, thank you.
Nice job, Ms. Bourdain. Jenny?
Yeah, Mr. President, just one item.
Sure.
The New Jersey Convention and Expo Center in Edison will be hosting a great event for parents whose kids might be interested in a career in construction or building trade industry. The event is open to the public and will take place on Tuesday, May 28th from 3 to 7 p.m. Additional information can be found on their website, the Expo Center website. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Anybody else?
Mr. President?
Yes, Ms. Anderson.
Yes, I'd like to share information about an event that's going to promote awareness about mental health awareness to kind of help end the stigma that's related to mental health. So Mental Health Day will be on Saturday, May 4th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Woodbridge Town Hall. They're going to have free health screenings. Those health screenings include blood pressure, glucose testing, blood oxygen. They're also going to have some guided meditation, and there will be some food trucks as well. So I wanted to just share that information with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Did I hear? Yeah, AJ, hey.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just an expression of gratitude towards the administration and central office. You know, when you're, and please excuse this bad example, when you're driving down the highway and it's a smooth, perfect road, you never think in your head, the road department did a great job. So when things are going smooth, the programs that are running and they're going as planned, meetings are going as planned, things are running smoothly, we're getting all the information that we need for whether it be negotiations, for the board meetings or whatever it may be. I believe some of, or a large part of your day goes in doing things that are not recognized or in some weird way are thankless. So I just want to thank you for that. I think your team stepped in during COVID, I believe, if I'm not wrong.
Right after.
And I just want to say that the trickle-down effect, I'm liking what I'm seeing. So that's all I can say. I think that's a collaboration of hard work. It's a collaboration of smart work. And as a result, we're seeing the improvements in our district. We're seeing the things that, you know, obviously Mr. Harris has his shout-outs. But at the same time, I want to express my gratitude to all of you for doing the things and making it work. I know we discuss a lot of things here, closed session, public, and it's usually the things that are not, you know, it's always in the purview of a teacher to circle the error and just check the correct things, right? There's a lot of correct, there's a lot of good happening. And for that, I express my gratitude and appreciation to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sedana. Anybody else? I just had a couple real quick ones. Just a shout out, a real traditional shout out here to Middlesex College. This past Saturday, they had an open house. I thought they did a great job publicizing it. They obviously offer programs for students right out of high school, but also non-traditional students. They had a packed house. It was a really well-organized event, so I want to thank Middlesex College. They're a good partner of ours, and many of our students go on to Middlesex College for varying reasons and degrees and certificates. So congratulations on a really great event. Want to give a PSA, if you will, regarding summer EBT. It's a new federal program that the federal government is funding. It's a EBT card, electronic benefits card, for students who are on free or reduced lunch. Parents can very easily sign up for this program, and what will happen is in the mail you get a $120 gift card, if you will, for lack of a better term, to purchase groceries over the summer. Our school district, through the federal free breakfast and lunch program, provides meals effectively September through June on school days, but unfortunately during the summer months, for some families, affording groceries is a challenge. So $120, it will be per student that is eligible between the ages of 6 and 16. They'll be benefited with that $120 per student. To learn more, to find out if you're eligible, if you haven't already done so, check your eligibility for through the free lunch application. You can find that through your school or on our district website, or you could visit NJ, New Jersey, nj.gov/summer EBT. Okay? And last but not least, kindergarten registration. It opened on February the 20th. If you haven't already registered your child who will be eligible for kindergarten in September of 2024, be sure to register. All registration's done online. Just go to our school district website. Under registration, you can sign up. And that concludes my comments for this evening. And at long last, we get to the public portion of our meeting. I'll read my usual blurb here. We'll now open the meeting for public comment. When you come to the microphone, please provide your name and the section of the township in which you reside. As per Regulation 1100D, comments must be limited to no more than 5 minutes. No response will be given until you have completed your opportunity to speak. Please come to the microphone. Any public members?
Hello?
Hi.
Is it on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Bruno's turning it up now.
All right. I'm going to stick to reading my comments so that I don't exceed the 5 minutes.
Sure.
Just to introduce myself, I'm Dahlia Iwais, a resident of the Ford section of Woodbridge Township. and a parent of a middle schooler at Ford's Middle School, and a second grader at Lafayette Estates School 25, and a graduate of the Woodbridge Township School District myself. I want to start by commending the leadership in our district for its ongoing commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Over recent years, I've participated in the DEI committee at the local level at my younger son's school and have seen firsthand the important work the district is doing to make our schools a safe space to be who you are, whatever that may be, for everyone's identity, and to feel a sense of belonging when you bring your whole self to school. So thank you for all of your efforts. I know that your work as public servants is never over, and I say this as being one myself. We're always looking to improve on the work that has come before us to forge a better future for those we serve for years to come. Very briefly, just sort of a mini education lesson, which I'm sure you all know this already, but in Islamic faith, there are two main religious holidays, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Eid al-Fitr follows the month of fasting called Ramadan. Eid al-Adha occurs 2 months and 10 days afterwards and is the culmination of the pilgrimage of each year to Mecca for Muslim pilgrims across the world. There was a day long ago in this very township when I was threatened to be kicked off of the school band because a concert fell on the same day as Eid and when I couldn't participate. We've come a long way, and I'm very proud of that, and that is amazing. We still have more work to do. Today I want to share my wish list as a Muslim American parent of school-age children in the very same public school district that I was raised in attending. Number one, and I'll keep it brief, I wish that our public schools would be closed for Eid, just like neighboring districts such as Edison, so that my children can enjoy our holiday without fear of being penalized as an unexcused absence, and knowing that they may have work to make up. I understand that the demographic data may drive decisions on closing schools for certain holidays, and if I can be of any help in any way, I'd be happy to support your efforts in doing that research. Number two, if number one can't happen, if schools do remain open on Eid, I ask that our teachers across the district be asked to refrain from scheduling any tests or major assessments on Eid. And please don't schedule state testing on those days or graduations, which may be the case in my son's 8th grade graduation this June. Because it's a lunar calendar, the days may alter, so graduation may very well be on Eid al-Adha. And please don't schedule, like I said, the state testing. I know there's a little bit of leeway, there's a window of time. Just be mindful of those days so that, children don't feel that they have to miss more work by having to make up a state test because they're being pulled out of other classes because they missed it for their religious holiday, which was the case a few years ago with my son. He didn't want to go to Eid because he didn't want to miss the state testing, because he didn't want to be pulled out of his classes to have to make up the test. And finally, number three, Eid al-Fitr, as I said, is celebrated at the end of Ramadan, is a 3-day festival. Eid al-Adha is a 4-day celebration. And while the state list of excused religious holidays lists Eid, it only excuses the first day. The state sets this list as a minimum standard for New Jersey schools, and I ask you to consider excusing, not necessarily closing for all 3 or 4 days, but excusing students for the full 3-day or 4-day observance for those who choose to participate. Those are the 2 major holidays for Muslims all year round. I can keep going with my wish list, but I'll stop at these. I want to thank you all for hearing me out, and I want to thank Mr. Ali for our conversation on similar issues last week. I feel heard as a parent when you call me back, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate this open space and time to share my concerns and thoughts with you. And I'll repeat what I said to Mr. Ali. Please feel free to count on me as your resource and as an ally for all of your efforts in DEI work and helping to make these wishes come true. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Delia. Great seeing you as well. As a fellow state employee here, it's good seeing you. Mr. Muhammad brought forward a number of your ideas. We had a spirited conversation at the Communications Policy and Planning Committee. The committee, I know, has pledged to continue to work through perhaps reopening the concept of incorporating religious holidays back onto the calendar. For at least about 6 years now, we've stuck with a federal holiday schedule only, in the interest of equity, which sounds sort of counterintuitive of doing a no religious holidays instead of all religious holidays, because of the challenges of trying to make everyone feel appreciated, heard, and seen. So that has been the direction of the district and the committee for at least the past 5 or 6 years. But my pledge to Mr. Muhammad and an email to him just the other day was to work together and find ways. And Dahlia, some of your suggestions were really, items 2 and 3 were things that hadn't yet come up and are really helpful for the conversation. So thank you very much for bringing forward. Sometimes at the board meeting, we often just hear criticisms and not necessarily constructive ideas about how to find compromise and agreement. So thanks for doing that. We look forward to others doing the same. Are there any other members of the public wishing to join us this evening? Yeah. All right. With that, I just want to add this to my repertoire here. Is for the month of May, we have 2 meetings. Thursday, May 2nd at 6 p.m. is the budget adoption right here at Ross Street School 11. And then 2 weeks later on the same day, Thursday, May the 16th at 6 p.m. will be a regularly scheduled board meeting, 6 p.m. right here at Ross Street Elementary School. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So motion. Second.
Good. I have a second by Mr. Del Pietro. Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. Del Pietro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Have a good evening, everybody.